Steve here with ICRPG behind the DM screen. In this episode, we will be talking about magic in ICRPG. And yes, I will go through kind of an introduction on how it is used in the game, but more importantly, we're going to highlight some of the things that make magic use in ICRPG significantly different than in most RPGs. Like and subscribe. Before we go too far along in our discussion, let me give a few caveats. First of all, I'm not a big fan of magic in RPGs. I tend to favor low to no magic environments. However, when we do use magic, I use it very much like any other piece of equipment, tool, weapon that any non-magic user would have. So, for example, a barbarian has his battle axe, the wizard has his spells. They do different things, but I treat them very much the same way as far as a tool, an ability, a piece of equipment. So that's the one thing. The other is that I don't get involved in the whole good and evil magic. I treat it all as arcane. I don't like to get involved with things that deal with demonology and things like that. That's my personal belief, and I don't like to get into those kind of things. So when I'm talking about magic in ICRPG, I view it the same way as, say, a superpower in any of the Marvel comic universe heroes, that kind of thing. So just wanted to clear those up, and let's get to it. The magic section starts on page 316 in the Master Edition, but really the explanations start on page 318. As is typical, I'm going to go out of order here and start with explaining spell cost. One of the things that I like about ICRPG is that it treats magic the same way I treat magic, in that it is not infinite. You can't just keep using it without expending it. So there's a cost involved in using magic. So each magic user is given what are called stun points, or SP. Now when you start, you have 10 of them. For every successful casting of magic, it costs minimum 2 stun points. So at level 1, you basically have 5 magic spells or items or whatever it is, actions that you can use before you get to 0. When you get to 0, you can't cast anymore. Think of it as bullets in a gun. So you keep going and then click, 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 you're out of bullets. Now, the only way you can recharge that is either by a rest or by some other rejuvenation. Basically, it takes you to the end of the session. So that's it. Once you use it and get down to 0, you're done casting magic for the rest of the session. So that's that part of it. Then you have this idea of spell power. Now, just like in D&D, you do have the ability to level up as a magic user. However, instead of going to level 20, ICRPG magic users only go up to level 4. Now, what do you get for doing level 4? Well, the levels are really multipliers of the damage or the effort that you do. So if you're a magic user, for example, and whatever you cast does like a roll of D10. If you're at level 1, you would roll 1 D10. If you're a level 2 user, you would roll 2 D10s. Level 3, 3 D10s, and level 4, 4 D10s. So that's how you increase your power as you level up in ICRPG. That said, there's this associated cost. So those 2 stun points that it costs you, it's per power. So if you are a level 2 and you cast level 2, it is now 4 stun points that it costs you. A level 3 is 6, a level 4 is 8. So now as you go up the ranks, as you level up, you get more stun points to use. But what I'm saying is that there is still an associated cost that basically makes it so that you kind of only have 5 uses of magic in a session. As with other abilities and other characters in ICRPG, there is mastery in magic. So if you roll a natural 20, you add that to your mastery track. And when you get to that certain level, then you achieve mastery in those things. What I really like is this next section, which is roll or burn. So the way this works is that you can roll like normal when you are casting. If you fail at casting your spell or magic at the target, then the next time you roll, it's going to be an easy roll. So if the target was 12, for example, and you failed at it, the next time it'll be a 9. So you do that -3 to make it an easy roll. we used to say, and I say it at the end of the video, a roll with advantage. You can do that as well. This other part, the burn part, that's the fun part. So if you don't want to risk failure at casting magic, in other words, you're like, it's really critical that this works and I don't want to risk it on a dice roll, you can say, I am going to burn this, in that I am going to guarantee my success on casting this, and in so doing, I can't use that spell or that magic again until I get a rest, or basically to the end of the session. So you're essentially saying, I'm going to guarantee that I'm going to get it, but then it's a one shot and I'm done with that. So you save that for the really big stuff. Another fun twist to magic use in ICRPG is the fact that magic can backfire on you. If you are unfortunate enough to roll a natural 1, then bad things can happen. You experience what is called a mercurial mishap. What you do when that happens, you roll a d12. That d12 corresponds to one of 12 things that could happen if you are a level 1 or 2 user, or one of 12 things that can happen if you are a level 3 or 4 user. I won't go through all of them, but for example, you could suffer 6 rounds of no magic. Here, you'd be stunned for 2 rounds, plus one of your spells gets burned without you even being to use it. So bad things can happen if you roll a 1 while you're casting magic. I like that because it kind of reflects the idea that magic is still something that is not in your full control. Page 321 gets into some tips on how to create spells if you want to be unique in what you want to do, as far as how do you create them so that they're appropriate for level 1, 2, 3, and 4. And then on the other pages following, you've got how to kind of create your character's backstory, your magic user's backstory. That's something that's pretty self-explanatory. You can just read that in the book. And then I really like here on page 324, it starts out with the actual magic starting loot. So I'll bring that in there, magic starting loot. And again, this is just a suggestion. So you can do all kinds of things. You can have whatever you want it to be. It could be a magic dagger. It could be, a staff or a wizard's hat or whatever it would be. But this gives you some idea on how to make loot that is magic. One of the things I like about magic loot is, again, it treats magic the way that I would treat magic, as a tool, a weapon, an item, just like any other thing. So it can be lost, it can be broken, it can be stolen, it can be used against you. So that's kind of neat. And so this will give you some ideas, but again, you can make up your own as well. You can choose to convert some of your spells into potions. To do that, you will need to have 3 rare ingredients. There's a list of those here. So a good DM maybe will have those things show up along the way. You're walking down the path and this happens to be a mushroom that you see. If your party is smart enough to collect it, you could have these rare items and your magic users could make a potion that could heal people, poison people, whatever. Just understand again that those can be lost, stolen, broken, used against you. Another interesting concept in ICRPG that I probably won't use myself is this idea of building a tower or a sanctum. So essentially, if a magic user is a character that you're playing for a very long time, and you want to have a legacy that endures, that will outlast you, you can use your resources that you've gained from campaigns over the years to build a tower or a sanctum that does different things. Think Sauron's tower in Lord of the Rings, right? That's the classic. Again, I don't know that I'll necessarily use that. The book will go on then to look at dimensions and going through different dimensions. I'm going to talk about that in a different episode when I talk also about the Wizard's Lock and how you go from world to world. So we won't deal with that. And then finally, we get to the table of magic, what you can cast at the different levels. We'll take a quick peek at that next. There's a really important section on page 336 that deals with the parameters in which magic can be used. So when you go through the list here in the back of the book on magic that you can cast, each one of those things has certain parameters or limitations. So for example, the target, it might only apply to yourself. Maybe it only applies to a single target that's visible. Maybe it's all that are invisible or within earshot, but all those things are going to be specified on the actual spell or magic that you cast. Also, duration. Does it last for one turn? Is it instantaneous? Does it take effect later? Again, those things will be specified when you choose from the list on what you want to use. Page 337 has the quick reference list to all of the spells that are given in the book, to all the magic that you can use. It even says what level they are. And then 338 all the way to 369 will give you the actual individual stuff that you can reference. Again, great start, and it makes it super easy because the way that this is spelled out in the book, it is very clear what you can use at level 1, what you can use at level 2, 3, and 4. And so that's super quick, super easy reference. Again, these are really good starter ones to use. And you can modify them, of course, as you go on through your campaign to suit the magic users in your party. So there you have a brief introduction to Magic and ICRPG. I think the platform handles it really well. It approaches it in a very simple and fun way. And again, I forgot to mention that Magic is handled similar to equipment also in that you only have a limited amount that you can carry with you. I believe it's 10. So whether that's scrolls or spell slots, as some of the other platforms would call it, but you have a limitation there as well. So I really like that. There's none of this, bag of holding concept where you can just, carry an apartment complex with you and have, access to an infinite number of things. So I really like the way that it's handled. I will probably be using Magic more often in ICRPG than I have in any other RPG platforms. So thanks again for watching, and may your dice always roll with advantage.